Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mezzanine Behavior, Episode 2. I'm your host, Jason Eric Testa. And for those wondering, no, I'm not related to Tony Award nominated Mary Testa, unfortunately. Not to my knowledge. It could be possible. Impossible. It's possible. It's possible. Impossible. Why are you down there? I challenge Mary Testa to come on my series and we can do a live DNA testing. We can do it for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS and we can donate the proceeds to the funds. You know, while watching Wicked for Good, now playing in theaters, I had the thought of, As Long as You're Mine should be in Shrek the Musical and sung by Fiona and Shrek. Imagine them in their little ogre onion house, levitating, mind you, singing As Long as You're Mine. It could work! At Kayla the Show asks for more Mary Todd Lincoln dream castings. You can put so many different people in that role and it just works. Off the top of my head, I really didn't think about this before I answered, but I need Rachel Dratch as Mary Todd Lincoln, Miss Piggy, Sis the Doll, Jackie Hoffman as Mary Todd Lincoln, please. Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Let's give one more good one because I could do this every week. Me. I would love to play Mary Todd Lincoln, but I think I'd be really good right now for Mary's teacher or the assistant. Nina Arianda. Gianmarco, how do you say his last name? Gianmarco Sorsa. Gianmarco Sauer. What? What's his name? You guys know what I'm talking about. I think it's Gianmarco Scorsese? I'll tag him down below. That guy would be great as Mary. I also think he would be really good in a revival of The Producers. With Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell and Gianmarco should be in a revival of The Producers. Okay, I'm rambling at this point. Welcome back to former Child Star support group. At _Percy Jackson 930 and at _ Satha, I want to say. They would like to know the story of how I crashed the audition for the first national tour of the Addams Family and then booked it. Imagine 10-year-old, 11-year-old me. I had a YouTube channel actually dedicated to the musical. I was known as Mr. Entertainment Adam. I would sing that music nonstop. I also wore that Addams Family show shirt like religiously. The Addams Family was just my favorite musical, and I was perfect for the role of Pugsley. I was a short, chubby kid who sang like Ethel Merman. That's literally what the character breakdown said. It said vibrato like Ethel Merman. My agents at the time got me an audition for the Broadway replacement for an understudy for Pugsley. I auditioned. I thought, oh yes, here we go. I'm about to be on Broadway in the Addams Family. Nope, not even a callback. Divine timing, everyone. Divine timing is a great thing. And I remember after that, I just kept bothering my agents about getting seen again, any way I could be in the Addams Family. I think at one point they even got annoyed and they were like, basically give up this idea because it's not happening. But I was not taking no for an answer. So I randomly was at Telsey, the casting company, for a commercial audition out of all things. And in the room next door to my audition, they were auditioning for the first national tour of the Addams Family. Of course, I saw that and was like, how do I get in that room? So my mom had the great idea. She was like, just like ask. You know, you're a young little boy. You really want this? Just ask and see what happens. So I went up to the audition monitor. I don't remember her name. I want to say Ashley. Ashley was sitting there probably thinking, what is this little fat kid going to say to me about? Hi, I don't have an appointment, but is there any way I'd be able to be seen? Straight up. I don't remember the full conversation, but she said something to the fact of, you didn't hear this from me, but if you come back Thursday at this time, they might see you. No guarantee. Mind you, this wasn't even an EPA or an ECC. This was not an open audition process. This was, if you have an appointment, you're going to be here type of situation. Thursday comes around. I am at school and I'm wearing my Addams Family shirt. My mom picks me up from school early and we take the Long Island Railroad into Manhattan and we go to Chelsea. We waited there for a half an hour and then they said, okay, Jason, you can come into the room. And I got seen. I remember I was a little bit sick, so I went in singing his song, What If? Very, like, muffled. I was like, what if she never tortures me anymore? And less than 30 minutes later, we get an email from my agent at the time being like, hey, you got a call back. How? And shout out to my mom and my parents for letting me be ballsy and doing that. Very, very lucky. Yeah, so I got a call back. I went in probably about 3 or 4 more times. There was like 4 or 5 auditions in total. And yeah, and then I booked it. I booked it right after like a field day. And I had just gotten like physically bullied. People mailboxed me. Do kids still do that? I hope not. But it was this whole group of guys that I thought were my actual friends. Turns out they weren't. They were just making fun of me the whole time because one of them slid into my Instagram DMs confessing, oh! Anyway, so I just got mailboxed and my tailbone got smashed into the ground and I was crying. And, you know, I was a very sweet, nice kid, very polite, but I also was not afraid to use language. So I remember just cursing out these 5th graders, being like, you asshole. I remember just being like, oh, I have to go to middle school next year and deal with this even more. This is not exciting. And so my mom picks me up from school and the first thing I asked her, I was like, yeah, I just got physically bullied. Did I book Addams Family? And my mom, when she's lying or nervous or excited about something, she'll like not make eye contact, smile a little bit and like bite her lip. She'll be like, I don't know. And from that, I knew, oh, I booked it. I immediately just started sobbing. We get in the car and I roll down the window, screaming, sobbing, I'm Pugsley. There were a lot of emotions that day. We got home and my mom said, call your agent. And I present to you the video of me booking it. But yeah, I went on tour. I was the Pugsley understudy / Adam's ancestor. So I would sing into a microphone off stage as just like an extra vocal. But halfway through the tour, I figured out they never actually turned my mic on. Fun fact, they never turned my mic on. That was that story. Next segment. This week's song that would scare a theater kid is none other than Unconditional from the album 333 by Tinashe, produced by Kate Renata. I love this song. The production is so unique. I think Tinashe is one of the coolest talents in pop R&B music that we have today. Very underrated. She also was in the original Out of Town tryout of 13 the musical, and she was in the Polar Express, and she was Mimi in Rent Live, so she is somewhat theater adjacent. But this song goes in many different waves and avenues. If you want to sing this for your Anne Juliet audition, it's not going to happen, darling. It's not going to happen. For this week's segment of Jason's psychic abilities, I will be telling a story of how something that I actually made came true. Like I said, I was a child actor. I'm trying not to dwell on it. I had written a whole SpongeBob musical using the movie soundtrack and physically writing it on paper and physically drawing the sets. I drew like a big ship as the opening number. I had a general meeting at Nickelodeon, which was a very common thing. I'm sure they still do it for kids on Disney and Nickelodeon, where they would just bring in kids and audition and see talents that they have, as opposed to auditioning for a specific show. I remember I went into Nickelodeon, the one that used to be in Times Square. Maybe they're still there. I don't know. I had this general audition for Nickelodeon. I don't think anything came from that audition. Like I said, I was so ballsy as a kid. I brought my full SpongeBob script that I'd written and I gave it to them at the end of the audition, I said, also, I wrote this SpongeBob musical. Here you go. 4 or 5 years later, SpongeBob the musical is on Broadway. I mean, obviously there were differences in the actual production that happened and mine that I wrote. But, I wonder all the time. I'm like, I wonder if I gave some producer or writer in that room a spark. You never know. Yeah. Now on to shows that I've seen this week, giving my 1-sentence review of each. Slam Frank. Yes, this is a real musical off-Broadway. 1-sentence review, boundary pushing and jaw-droppingly hilarious. Tartuffe at the House of Redemere, which was in a state library. This whole production was in a library. It was so cool, so unique. I'd also never seen this play before. A 1-sentence review for this show would be a quite impressive reimagining of a classic play. That was very good. And final show that I saw this week, Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York. I loved this show, you guys. I really enjoyed it. 1 sentence would be a fresh, new, original, hilarious musical charms Broadway. That's what I would say. And also the lead actor, both of them were fantastic. Christiani, and Sam Tuddy? I think it's Sam Tuddy. I have a question for you, actually. Do you like baritones with big noses? I have done zero research on you, but based off this performance that I saw, I would like to know that information. If not, forget you ever saw this. But what a charmer. What a charmer. To close out this episode of Mezzanine Behavior, I will be answering 2 questions from you viewers. First question. What's one popular Broadway opinion you strongly disagree with and why? Hear me out. I know it sells. I know it brings in a big, wider audience to Broadway. Some of the best shows on Broadway right now are RIP. I didn't say RIP. ARE space IP. They are IP. I'm not saying IP doesn't belong in commercial theater, because at the end of the day, it's commercial theater. But I just wish there was more of a balance nowadays. We could have a couple from each Broadway season, right? But when the entire slate is just adaptations, it becomes a little bit of a doozy. And trust me, I'm not anti-IP. I saw Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark 3 times, and I have a Spider-Man tattoo on my thigh. So clearly, it's not like I don't enjoy when these things happen. All I'm saying is that we just don't need as much of it. Give me some brand new musicals that came from someone's brain that are not based on anything. We just got to tone it down a smidge, just a smidge. And the final question, what's something the Broadway industry does that makes no sense to you? Why, when you get an audition, do they give you the full script? Sometimes. Sides. Sheet music for the songs they want you to do. And plunk tracks plus melody tracks. But if we're supposed to be dancing for an in-person audition, we don't get to see the dance beforehand. I'm a very strong mover. Like, if you give me a little bit of time to learn something, I can do it and crush it. But I'm not a dancer who can pick up choreo in the room in 5 seconds. If you give me some time and a video of the dance beforehand, I can go in that room and know I'll crush it. Why can't we prep choreo the same way that we prep sides and songs? I could have really used a video of the choreo before going into the room and attempting to audition for the West Side Story film remake. You guys don't want to hear that story because it will make me puke out of embarrassment. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Mezzanine Behavior. Long, long ago, long before we fell apart, there lived here in Oz the magical wise one. Is that how it goes? It's the new part of One Short Day from the Wicked movie. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, any suggestions, leave them down below. Make sure to follow me on all social media. And I will see you guys very soon for another episode of Mezzanine Behavior.